All right, everyone, buckle up because today we are diving deep into the world of Series A funding,
Yeah.
which, let's be honest, can feel like navigating a maze blindfolded sometimes.
Yeah.
But luckily for us, we've got Dr. Ola Brown's playbook to guide us her ebook, Journey to Series A.
Right.
And just to remind you, she's not just some writer, she's a venture capitalist who's not only seen it all but thrived in it. I
Absolutely.
mean, we're talking about a $700 million portfolio, folks. Her first fund boasts a cool 25% IRR.
Impressive, yeah.
So she knows a thing or two about picking winners.
hmm
So whether you're just starting to think about scaling or you're knee-deep in pitch decks, this deep dive is for you.
Yeah, when I think about Series A, it really is a huge mindset shift for founders. It's no longer about just having a cool idea or a flashy prototype. You're transitioning from, hey, we might be onto something here, to showing investors cold, hard data.
It's like graduating from the practice field to the big leagues, right?
Exactly. The stakes are higher, the pressure's on, and you can't just charm your way through anymore. You have to bring the receipts.
Show me the money.
Exactly. So seed funding, think of that as validating your idea. Series A, this is about proving you can turn that idea into a sustainable, rapidly scaling business.
So what actually changes? Is it just about asking for a bigger chunk of change this time around?
Well, it's more nuanced than that. The scrutiny from investors, it intensifies significantly. They're laser focused on your business fundamentals. We're talking revenue, customer acquisition cost, but most importantly, how you plan to achieve that exponential growth. They're looking for that hockey stick trajectory, and they want to understand how their money is going to fuel that rocket ship.
Yeah, it makes sense. They're betting on your ability to turn their investment into a massive return. So we're not talking about a couple $100,000 here, are we?
We're in a whole different league now.
Yep.
Series A rounds typically start at a cool $4 million, and it can go way up from there. But, and this is a big but, Series A isn't the only path to scaling your startup.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And Dr. Brown dedicates a good chunk of her book to exploring alternative avenues, which I think is brilliant.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the good stuff, the unexpected twists and turns. What else does Dr. Brown have up her sleeve? Spill the tea.
Well, one option that's gaining a lot of traction is customer funding. Think about companies like Zoho, MailChimp. They built their empires by getting their customers to invest in their growth like right out of the gate.
Hold on, customer funding. What does that even look like? Is that like a giant pre-order from your biggest fans?
It can be. Imagine offering early access to new features, exclusive discounts, all that good stuff to customers who contribute to your funding round. You're basically turning your user base into your earliest investors.
Oh, that's brilliant. It builds this tight-knit community around your product, like saying, hey, we're all in this together.
Exactly. And let's be honest, who knows your product better than the people who use it every single day?
Yeah.
So their investment, it's like a giant vote of confidence.
It's a resounding endorsement.
Absolutely. And it's a way to scale, right, without having to give away too much equity early on. Because remember, every time you raise money through traditional VC funding, you're giving up a piece of your company.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but definitely something to think about strategically.
Well, for sure, it's a trade-off.
For sure.
You have to be really strategic about when you do it and how much you're willing to part with. So, alongside customer funding, Dr. Brown also talks about venture debt as a compelling alternative to equity financing.
Venture debt. See, that sounds a little less intimidating than I pictured it in my head. What's the deal with that?
So it's basically a loan, but specifically designed for startups. Because traditional banks, let's be real, they often shy away from lending to early-stage companies.
Wait, they want to see those boring balance sheets that make them feel all warm and fuzzy inside, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they want to see years of financial history, proven revenue streams.
Yeah.
But venture debt lenders, they're a different breed. They understand the startup world. They see the potential for hypergrowth, even if your company isn't profitable yet.
Okay, so it's like a lifeline for startups that need an infusion of cash without sacrificing that precious equity.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You get the capital you need to hit those crucial milestones without giving up ownership.
Yeah.
You could use it to bridge the gap between funding rounds,
Yeah.
fuel a specific growth initiative, buy yourself some time to reach profitability.
I like the sound of that.
Right.
Okay, so we've got customer funding, venture debt, both fascinating alternatives to the whole traditional Series A path. What else is on the menu here?
Well, Dr. Brown also highlights bridge rounds and seed extensions, which are like mini funding rounds. They're designed to kind of top up your runway, give you that extra push to reach your next big milestone.
Mini funding rounds. It's like a quick snack for your startup to keep that momentum going.
Exactly.
So it's like you're going back to your investors and you're saying, hey, remember that ambitious goal we talked about? Well, we just need a little bit more fuel to get us there. Then we're talking fireworks.
Exactly. Maintaining momentum and showing investors that you're making progress.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, there's the wild card, crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding, you mean like Kickstarter, GoFundMe. But for startups looking to, disrupt industries and change the world, I can see how that would be a really powerful way to tap into a really passionate community.
You got it. Now, crowdfunding, I'll be honest, it's not for everyone. You really need a product or a mission that deeply resonates with a large audience.
Yeah, for sure. Give me an example. Someone who really knocked it out of the park with crowdfunding.
Substack.
Yeah.
They raised a mind-blowing $65 million through crowdfunding back in 2022.
Get out.
Their users saw the value in what they're building and wanted to be a part of the journey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It just goes to show if you can really rally a passionate community behind your vision, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
So what I'm hearing is that Series A isn't the only game in town. There's this whole world of alternative funding avenues out there, each with its own pros and cons.
That's really the key takeaway. You have to understand your options and find that funding strategy that best aligns with your startup's unique needs and goals. It's about being strategic and not just following the herd,
I love that. Dr. Brown is all about empowering founders, giving them options, and encouraging them to, color outside the lines a little bit, be creative.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a breath of fresh air, honestly, because it's easy to get so caught up in that whole Series A or bust mentality, but you've just opened up a whole buffet of possibilities.
Right.
But let's say, just for argument's sake, we've weighed those options, right? We've done our due diligence, and Series A, it feels right. It feels like the right move for us. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of preparation, paint me a picture. What are we really getting ourselves into here?
Well, to put it bluntly, it is a competitive landscape.
Yeah.
Dr. Brown does not sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
And her ebook cites some pretty eye-opening statistics about the reality. Did you know that 60%, a staggering 60% of startups, they fail between the pre-seed and Series A stage?
Whoa, 60%. So
Right.
even if you, you've gotten that pre-seed funding, you're in the door, your odds of making it to that next level are, well, not great.
Not guaranteed, put it that way.
Yeah.
It really just goes to show that a brilliant idea, it's just the tip of the iceberg. You need flawless execution, probably a little bit of luck, nerves of steel.
Definitely an nerve of steel.
All part of the equation.
Yeah.
And even if you manage to navigate the seed funding stage, you're killing it, right?
Yeah.
The journey to Series A, still a steep climb, because only about 25% of companies that raise seed funding actually go on to raise Series A.
Okay, so even with those early wins, it's still a 1 in 4 chance. That's a stat that would make even the most seasoned entrepreneur sweat a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not a one and done deal either.
Right.
Dr. Brown, she points out that companies typically raise an average of 3 funding rounds before even reaching Series A.
3 rounds.
Yeah.
Wow, it really is a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon, yeah.
Or maybe it's an obstacle course.
Yeah.
Where you have to prove yourself at every single turn.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. As daunting as all those statistics sound,
Yeah.
and they are, they're incredibly valuable. Knowledge is power, right?
Right.
So I think going into the process, just understanding the challenges ahead of time, founders can approach Series A, with their eyes wide open.
I love that perspective. So let's use those stats not to intimidate us, but to fuel us, give us that fire in our belly.
Exactly.
And I know Dr. Brown is all about that practical advice, so I'm guessing she doesn't just drop those numbers and then leave us hanging.
No, she doesn't.
What kind of roadmap does she offer to guide founders through this process?
She does. And her biggest piece of advice, start early.
Okay.
And I mean really early.
Okay.
The moment you close your seed round, your Series A journey begins.
Wait, hold on. So no victory laps, no popping champagne after we get that seed funding secured.
Celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
Celebrate the wins. But then it's back to the grind.
Okay.
Because remember that 18-month fundraising timeline we talked about?
Yeah.
It's not a suggestion. It's strategic. Like a game plan.
Yeah.
18 months.
18 months. Okay, we're not messing around.
No, we're not. This
Right.
is serious business.
Yeah.
So some of those key milestones to focus on
Yeah.
right off the bat, building your investor wish list.
Okay.
And it's exactly what it sounds like, okay? It's your dream team of investors who not only get your vision, but they're the perfect partners to help you achieve it. So Dr. Brown, she recommends like identifying at least 50 potential
The
investors.
50.
At least 50.
Okay, so we're talking about quantity here.
We're talking about quality and quantity because remember, not every investor is created equal.
Yeah.
You want people who've got a track record of investing in companies like yours, who get your space.
They speak your language.
They speak your language.
And they like vibe with what you're doing.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
look at who funded your competitors or companies that you admire.
Okay, yeah.
Go to industry events, network like crazy, and leverage those warm introductions.
Warm introductions, music to a founder's ears.
Oh, for sure.
Because we all know a personal connection can make all the difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you're trying to, like, get your foot in the door.
100%. Investors are far more likely to take a meeting if you come with a trust and referral.
Right, right.
So that's why networking, relationship building, crucial in these early stages.
Yeah.
But, while you're busy building that investor hit list, don't forget about your internal team.
Oh, wow.
Because fundraising, it's a team sport.
For sure.
And everyone needs to be prepped and ready to play their part.
Yeah, because I feel like it's easy for founders to get so laser focused on securing that funding that they forget about bringing their team along on that journey.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen from your head of product to your finance team. Everyone needs to be aligned on the mission, and they need to be prepped to answer those tough questions that investors are going to throw their way.
Right. Be prepared.
Be prepared. And speaking of things that investors love to scrutinize, let's talk about compliance.
Ah, yes. The not so sexy part of fundraising,
Right.
but so critical.
But it's like flossing.
Yeah.
Nobody loves doing it, but you're going to regret it if you don't.
Pay for it later.
Exactly. Dr. Brown, she really emphasizes, getting your legal and financial house in order. This is non-negotiable. We're talking tax documents, employee contracts, board meeting minutes, IP documentation, you name it.
So it sounds like you're basically prepping for a financial audit.
Yes.
Except it's not the IRS breathing down your neck, it's a VC.
Exactly. And speaking of things that investors love to examine, let's talk about the infamous data room.
Ooh, the data room. It's like the inner sanctum,
Yes.
where all those confidential documents, those financial secrets are kept under lock and key.
And just like a vault, it needs to be impeccably organized, visually appealing, and tell a story.
Okay.
This is your chance to present your company in its very best light, showcasing all the juicy details.
So what kind of treasures are we talking about putting on display here? Give me the rundown.
Think of it as like your startup's greatest hits album, but instead of catchy tunes, it's corporate documents,
Right.
financial statements, that detailed business plan, in-depth market analysis, product roadmap, all of it.
So no more like Times New Roman boring bullet points. We're thinking outside the box.
Presentation is key.
Okay.
Dr. Brown even goes as far to say that your documents themselves should be aesthetically pleasing.
Okay, so even VCs appreciate a little visual flair.
They do. It's about demonstrating attention to detail, going that extra mile to make a good impression. And remember, investors are busy people. They're sifting through tons of information.
Yeah.
And if your data room is a disorganized mess, it just screams like lack of professionalism
Right.
and attention to detail. And that's not the first impression you want to make.
No, not at all. It's like that old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So true.
And in the world of Series A fundraising, first impressions are everything.
They really are.
Okay, so we've spent the last year and a half meticulously prepping. Our investor wish list is polished, the team's prepped for prime time, compliance is locked down tight, and the data room, well, it's basically a work of art at this point.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece. So what's next? What does month 19 look like?
This is where the rubber meets the road. It's showtime. You've laid the groundwork, and now it's time to start having those critical conversations with potential investors.
So all that networking, all those coffees, those late night emails, this is where it pays off.
This is where the magic happens. Those warm introductions we talked about.
Yeah.
Time to cash them in. Because investors are way more receptive to taking a meeting when you come with a trusted referral. It boosts your credibility right off the bat.
That's like a VIP pass to get into the Series A club.
Exactly.
But even with that VIP pass, you still got to deliver a killer performance, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
This is where the art of the pitch comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Brown, she's a huge advocate for something she calls financial storytelling.
Financial storytelling. Okay, tell me more about this.
Yeah, it's more than just like throwing spreadsheets at investors and hoping for the best.
Right.
It's about weaving a narrative that goes beyond the numbers. You're creating an emotional connection. Investors, they're looking for passionate founders who can articulate a clear vision.
Yeah.
They want to be inspired. They want to join that journey with you.
So, what are some essential ingredients of like a winning Series A story? How do you craft a pitch that makes investors reach for their checkbooks?
Okay, well, first and foremost, you have to articulate the problem you're solving
Okay.
and why it matters.
Right.
And I'm not talking about some minor inconvenience here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This has to be a problem that resonates with your audience. It has to be big enough to justify a significant investment.
You need to make them feel the pain of that problem.
Yes.
And then show them how your solution is the antidote.
Exactly. And then you have to back up your claims with concrete evidence. Talk is cheap. Investors, they want to see that you're walking the walk. This is where you showcase your traction, your progress, those key milestones you've hit, your user growth, your revenue numbers.
Show, don't tell.
Show, don't tell.
Don't be afraid to brag a little bit.
Exactly. But don't just focus on past wins. Connect those wins to the bigger picture.
Right.
That massive market opportunity. Paint that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Show them how you're not just going to play in this market, you're going to dominate it.
Yeah. Investors want to know there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow, right? They're betting on your ability to deliver those crazy returns.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not just about the numbers, is it? You can have the best financials in the world, but if you don't have the right team, it's all for nothing.
You're preaching to the choir. Investors, they're investing in people as much as they're investing in ideas.
Yeah.
They have to believe in the team behind the vision.
Yeah.
Dr. Brown, she highlights some of these key roles that are absolutely critical.
Give me the dream team lineup.
Okay.
Who are the MVPs every founder needs in their corner?
You have to have your head of sales and marketing, the revenue rock stars.
Yeah.
They're responsible for making it rain, essentially.
Yeah.
They've got to be able to articulate how they're going to hit those ambitious growth targets. Then, of course, you need that financial guru.
Head of finance.
Head of finance.
Yeah.
They're in the trenches explaining the financial model, the burn rate, the path to profitability.
No pressure.
No pressure. You need that lead engineer, the technical visionary,
Right.
who can really explain that tech stack. Assure them that your infrastructure can handle rapid scaling. And then, of course, you need a product person, a product guru.
Head of product.
Head of product, yes. They're painting the picture of that product roadmap, that innovation pipeline. And let's not forget the unsung hero, the chief of staff,
Right.
keeping everything running smoothly, managing the due diligence process, making sure everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, it sounds like Series A fundraising is the ultimate team sport.
It really is.
Everyone has a crucial role to play.
Oh, absolutely. And communication is key.
Yes.
Dr. Brown suggests having regular team meetings throughout the entire process.
Okay.
Keep everyone informed, address any concerns, maintain that all-important alignment,
Alignment. Yeah.
and don't be afraid to bring in reinforcement. External consultants, mentors, advisors.
Yeah, having that outside perspective.
Perspective is so valuable.
It's like having a seasoned Sherpa guiding you up Mount Everest. They've navigated these treacherous terrains before, and they can help you avoid those costly missteps.
100%.
Speaking of missteps, let's shift gears for a second
Yeah.
and talk about those potential pitfalls, the things that can derail a Series A pursuit, even with the best of intentions.
Right. Well, Dr. Brown, she highlights 6 major pitfalls. And I think they're worth going over because sometimes knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do.
Absolutely.
So pitfall number 1, not having a budget for fundraising. A lot of founders, they underestimate just how expensive it can be.
Wait, so you're telling me that raising money actually costs money?
It does. It does. You've got travel expenses, legal fees, consultants.
Right, right.
The costs add up really quickly, so it's crucial to factor that into your strategy.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask for help in securing those resources
100%.
if you need them.
Yes. Next up, and this is a big one, poor financial record keeping. You can't expect to impress investors with a shoebox full of receipts.
Right. No more shoe boxes.
No more shoeboxes. Investors need to see that you're buttoned up, you're on top of your finances from day one.
Right.
A messy cap table, inconsistent financial reporting, huge red flag.
Huge red flag. Okay, got it. What else?
An ugly data room.
Aye.
Remember all that time we just spent?
Yeah.
It's not just about aesthetics.
Right.
A disorganized, poorly presented data room just screams like amateur hour
Yeah, you want it to be beautiful. Like,
Instantly.
spend that time, make it shine.
100%.
Yeah.
Next up, poor time management.
Okay.
Rushing through this process is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Remember that 18-month timeline?
Yeah.
Dr. Brown emphasizes starting early for a reason.
Yeah, it gives you time.
It does.
Time to build those relationships, refine your pitch, address any, like, red flags that might pop up during due diligence.
Exactly. And rushing leads to mistakes, and in this game, mistakes are costly.
Yeah, they are.
And speaking of, potential for things going wrong, having an unprepared team,
Oh, yeah.
that can be a major pitfall.
Because investors can smell fear and uncertainty from a mile away.
A mile away. Make sure that your team can answer those tough questions. They need to be well-versed in all aspects of the business.
Okay.
And last but not least, an unprepared founder.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
The captain of the ship has lost their sea legs?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
As the founder, you are the most important person in the room.
Right.
You need to be the most prepared.
It all goes back to preparation.
It does.
Yeah.
You're not just pitching your company. You're pitching yourself, your leadership,
Yeah.
your ability to execute, to inspire.
I'm getting fired up just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So to sum it all up, Series A funding is about so much more than just getting that big check.
It's way more.
It's about finding the right partners to scale your vision, build a sustainable business,
Absolutely.
and maybe even change the world along the way.
I love that. Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, to all those founders out there listening who have their sights set on Series A, remember Dr. Brown's words of wisdom. Start early, be strategic, build that A team. And hey, don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. Those stats might seem daunting, but success in this arena, it's all about mindset, preparation, and a whole lot of hustle.
That is the winning formula.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of Series A funding. Remember, you don't have to navigate this journey alone. We've got a treasure trove of resources waiting for you in the show notes, including a link to Dr. Brown's incredible ebook. Until next time, happy fundraising.